After months of relentless bombardment and unimaginable suffering, a ceasefire descended upon Gaza. It was a moment pregnant with the hope of a lasting peace, a chance for shattered lives to be rebuilt. The agreement, painstakingly negotiated, promised a reprieve from the violence. It offered a glimmer of normalcy for a population scarred by war's indelible mark. The ceasefire's terms included a phased withdrawal of Israeli troops, allowing displaced Palestinians to return to their homes. It also stipulated a hostage exchange, a beacon of hope for families torn apart by conflict. The ceasefire brought with it a cautious optimism, a collective sigh of relief as the bombs fell silent. Yet beneath the surface of this fragile peace lay the seeds of uncertainty. The agreement was fraught with complexities, its implementation a delicate balancing act. The path to lasting peace, it seemed, was paved with the potential for renewed conflict. The ceasefire, for all its promise, was just the beginning of a long and arduous journey. It represented not the end of conflict, but a pause, a chance to address the root causes of the violence. The question remained, could this fragile peace be transformed into a lasting resolution, or would it crumble under the weight of mistrust and animosity? The world watched with bated breath, hoping against hope that this time peace would prevail. But as the days unfolded, the fragility of the ceasefire became all too apparent. The promise of a return to normalcy began to unravel, replaced by a renewed sense of fear and uncertainty. The ink on the ceasefire agreement was barely dry when accusations of violations began to surface. Israel accused Hamas, the militant group controlling Gaza, of breaching the terms of the truce. The specific allegations centered around the hostage exchange, a critical component of the agreement. According to Israel, Hamas had failed to release all the hostages as agreed upon. This accusation cast a long shadow over the already fragile peace. The return of displaced Palestinians to their homes in northern Gaza, a key provision of the ceasefire, was immediately put on hold. Israel, citing security concerns in light of the alleged breach, delayed the withdrawal of its troops from the area. This decision had an immediate and devastating impact on the thousands of Palestinians who had already begun their journey home. They found themselves stranded, caught in a bureaucratic and political quagmire. The truce dispute quickly escalated, threatening to unravel the entire ceasefire agreement. The blame game played out on the international stage, with each side accusing the other of bad faith and intransigence. The situation on the ground in Gaza grew increasingly tense. The hope that had flickered briefly after the ceasefire announcement began to dwindle, replaced by a growing sense of despair and frustration. The international community, which had breathed a collective sigh of relief at the news of the ceasefire, was now faced with the daunting task of salvaging the peace process. Mediators scrambled to defuse the situation, urging both sides to exercise restraint and to uphold their commitments under the agreement. The fate of Gaza and the lives of its long-suffering people hung precariously in the balance. At the heart of the ceasefire dispute lay the deeply emotional issue of the hostage exchange. The agreement stipulated the release of Israeli captives held by Hamas in exchange for Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails. This exchange, it was hoped, would serve as a confidence-building measure, a tangible demonstration of both sides' commitment to peace. However, the exchange, intended to be a beacon of hope, quickly became mired in controversy. On Saturday, October 25, 2023, Hamas released 4 Israeli female soldiers. The scenes of their reunion with loved ones were deeply moving, a testament to the human cost of the conflict. However, the joy of these reunions was short-lived. The exchange faltered when it became clear that a civilian hostage, Arbel Yehud, was not among those released. This discrepancy immediately raised alarm bells in Israel. Hamas maintained that Arbel Yehud was still alive and would be released the following week. They attributed the delay to logistical issues. Israel, however, remained skeptical. The Israeli government demanded proof of life, accusing Hamas of deception and bad faith. This impasse over Arbel Yehud's fate became the focal point of the ceasefire dispute. The hostage exchange, meant to be a bridge across the divide, instead became another battleground in the war of narratives. The emotional stakes were incredibly high, with the lives of individuals hanging in the balance. The hope that this humanitarian gesture would pave the way for broader reconciliation was fading with each passing hour. The ceasefire, already fragile, was now in serious jeopardy. And for thousands of Palestinians displaced by the conflict, the ceasefire announcement had ignited a flicker of hope. Finally, they thought they could return to their homes, to the shattered remnants of their lives. The ceasefire agreement included provisions for their safe passage north, towards areas like Beit Hanun, where many had family and livelihoods. The road home, however, proved to be far longer and more treacherous than they could have imagined. As the dispute over the hostage exchange escalated, Israel made the fateful decision to delay the withdrawal of its troops from northern Gaza. This decision, framed as a necessary security measure, had dire consequences for the returning Palestinians. They found themselves stranded at checkpoints, their dreams of homecoming dashed against the wall of political maneuvering. Among those caught in this bureaucratic limbo was Muhammad Imad al-Din, a barber whose only desire was to return to his shop and provide for his family. His story, shared by the BBC, is a poignant reminder of the human cost of the conflict. He had packed his meager belongings, his heart filled with a mix of hope and trepidation. Now he waited, along with countless others, uncertain of his fate. The delay in the troop withdrawal was a bitter pill to swallow for those who had already endured so much. It was a stark reminder that their lives, their futures, were pawns in a much larger geopolitical game. The ceasefire, which had promised so much, was now delivering only frustration and despair.